Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews and to Theater Tuesdays. And today we are finishing up our series on the latest season of Schmigadoon. We're talking about episodes 5 and 6, and we'll talk about the whole season, the season as a whole as well. And I'm theater critic Rachel Wagner, and Maren is here.
Hello.
And Adam is here.
Hello.
And I hope you all enjoyed these last two episodes as much as I did. I thought it was a really fun conclusion to the season, and particularly some of the new songs that they had, I thought were very strong, the strongest of the season in these two episodes. Would you agree, Maren?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What do you think of these two episodes overall, Adam?
Yeah, they were. I was glad to see them sort of come to a conclusion and figure out everything, because it was fun. The songs were fun, and it was a nice wrap up.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's dive in. Let's talk about them. So episode 5, Famous as Hell. And this is convinced they're well on their way to a happy ending. Josh and Melissa both rocket to fame in Chicago and get embroiled in a deadly plot. So Maren, overall, what do you think of this particular episode, episode 5?
So one of the things I was thinking when I was watching it is when Cecily Strong was singing her song that rockets her to fame, it gave me just the reminder of how talented she is. Like we sit and we watch these shows because it's funny, and that there's so much humor and parody into it, and she's known for being funny. I mean, she did Saturday Night Live forever, but when she was singing, it's not just a parody like that. That was such talent in that song. And I was watching it thinking, I'd go and I'd pay Broadway level money to see her. I was very impressed with the talent.
Same. I agree. I after she sings Maybe It's My Turn Now,
Right.
I posted on Twitter, I said, if this doesn't win the best song in the Emmys, then what's the point of the award? Like, this is best original song. It was so good, I thought.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, though, I guess the only other ballot would be for a different Schmigadoon song to win. But I just thought it was by far the best song and performance of the season.
Right. And it's very much like, like kind of calling out to some of the others, like maybe This Time from Cabaret and some of the other types of songs from it. And so, it's still a parody, but I was swept away in her talent and just sat there and thought, man, it's not just a parody. These are really, really talented people that they have in this show. And that was just such a reminder to me of that.
Yeah. What do you think, Adam, overall of the episode?
Yeah, I'm one of those who's always struck by the talent of actors who I don't know can sing. So a big chunk of this cast is Broadway folks, and I've known that Titus Burgess could sing partially because of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt and some of that stuff. But seeing Cecily Strong and Keegan Michael Key singing and belting out, it's a nice surprise to say this isn't dubbed over. This isn't somebody singing for them like sometimes happens on Disney Channel or whatever. This is them actually performing well, and not just so it was amazing to see, and the music was fantastic, and it's so fun to see them take on different characters than what they had in season 1.
Yeah, it's true. There were a lot more sort of innocent and sweet in season 1, which fit for that plot. But yeah, this one, she just owned it in a way that wasn't quite the same in the first season. Yeah, it was so good. And then we have, I thought the writing was really on point in this episode, in both these episodes. The whole idea of them turning to Josh for leadership. He's like leading the protest and everything, and basically the Famous as Hell song, and Melissa's this big star, and they say that you don't want to they try to tell them, don't spend your lives following someone you think is smart and kind. I mean, I feel like in modern day politics, certainly you're lucky to get both smart and kind. You're
Right?
like, oh, okay, that sounds
You
great.
get both. That's amazing.
Yeah. But I think that this episode really, we finally got the payoff for the narrator, because I don't think they had really used him that much. And then they get this whole song and this whole sequence.
Yeah. I thought that the rhymes, like, oh Josh, oh my gosh, and yeah, like all of that, that song I felt like was fantastic. So well.
Yeah. And she says, when I'm on that stage, I feel I can do anything. I feel strong and gorgeous.
Right.
Which is good. And then Josh says, it feels good being part of something bigger than myself, with the hippies. But Topher and Sally are very upset about it. Because they've taken their roles. And that's when they sing the Sour Macaroon song, which I thought was funny. Like, what does that even mean?
Right. That was hilarious.
Yes. And
yeah, I sort of wondered if that was a very, very subtle call out to Seussical and the Sour Kangaroo.
Oh, maybe. I didn't think of that, but yeah.
On the Broadway World website, it doesn't talk about it, but
no.
Just the sort of the nature of the sound of the words,
yeah.
Sour Macaroon and Sour Kangaroo.
Sure.
I guess that's a show I've never seen. I've never seen.
Oh, I have. But yeah, it totally could be. I wouldn't have thought of that, but that's absolutely possible.
Did you hear, Maren, that the quote from Kristen Chenoweth saying that she'd wanted to do Sweeney Todd with Alan Cumming for a while, but they wanted to gender swap it?
Gender bend it? Yes, I just read that. Oh my gosh, how awesome would that be?
It'd be really good. I feel like that's one where you could have fun with it, that it wouldn't be just for sort of show, that it would be interesting to see how like a more submissive, just swap the roles and have a male character, Mrs. Lovett, I think would be interesting. But so maybe when Josh Groban and Lisa are done,
right, maybe then we can gender swap that.
Yeah. The orphans give Miss Caldwell a present, and it's the ribbon is the present. That's pretty cute.
So adorable.
Yeah, let's get back to Eden. And you said, Adam, that you've done Annie before.
Right.
You've directed that. And it's got to be fun to just, the whole Miss Hannigan role is so over the top.
Yeah.
Deliciously evil.
Well, the fun part for me was, I think that, I saw the interview where they talked about Alan Cumming liked, Dooley's role almost better than Sweeney Todd because it was a little bit more deep. You could go into something. And I think the same thing could be said for the, even though it's more Miss Lovett than Miss Hannigan, but I think that Kristen Chenoweth's character, as Miss Caldwell, really can delve deep into sort of some of the other goings on behind the scenes in the orphanage that we don't see much except for in Annie when Rooster when Rooster shows up, and we sort of get that, so it's fun to kind of see where that could have gone, or where Miss Hannigan could have gone if the musical was a different name, if it was Miss Hannigan instead of Annie.
Are you a fan of Rachel's Reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics Panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a patron. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night, or even become a guest on the podcast Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
Yeah. We probably get it the most in the little girls song, but yeah. And you really get the humor in the roles in this. Like, I just thought it was really funny when he's like, I always carry my cleaver. I feel naked
Yeah.
without my cleaver.
Yep.
That was funny. And they find the weight chart.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And they're figuring out finally how many sausages.
Ridiculous. And they're like, we did this. Oh no.
Right.
And so they decide that they're going to give them craft because that's why they want to get the revenge, and they're like, whatever makes you happy. Right. And then we get Madame Frau and Sergeant Riviera. They sing "There's Always a Twist," and they were saying that this was was taken off of the Greek chorus from Little Shop of Horrors.
Mm-hmm.
So they did go that far into the 80s, I guess.
Right.
Which makes sense. What do you think of that song, Marion? There's Always a Twist.
I really enjoyed it. Like this whole episode, I thought the songs were so much fun.
Yeah.
So, and I like that they were digging more into Madame Frau's character. So,
yeah. What do you think about Little Shop of Horrors? Where does it rank for you?
So I really love Little Shop of Horrors, and I like the stage version better than the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I like the ending better on the stage. I like the more dark ending.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know. I guess I'm a more dark person.
Yeah, I actually heard, and it may just be urban legend, but I heard that they tested that ending on movie audiences and it didn't test well, and so they changed it to a more happy ending.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised that movie audiences wanted a better, more happy ending, but I really like the stage ending version. So
yeah. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. My sister was actually in it when she was in high school. That was the first time I saw it, and then I saw it off Broadway when we did our Utah Theater Lovers trip.
Yeah, I've seen it off Broadway twice. I saw it with Jeremy Jordan the first time, and then I went back and I saw it when Matt Doyle took over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So,
and then I saw it last year at West Valley, and of course it was unbelievable because they're amazing.
Yeah, West Valley does such a good job.
I've performed in it twice, and
awesome. Really?
Yeah.
Who did you play?
So the first time I played a plethora of characters, including the voice of Not Unlike God at the beginning, Chang Dadu, Drunk, things like that. So I had more costume changes than anyone the first time. And then the second time I actually got the privilege of playing the voice of the plant.
Nice. It's the best role in the whole show.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's the best role in the whole show, except that nobody in the audience knows
right. And yeah, so, you're not on stage at all.
Yeah. So when you come out for a curtain call, they're like, "Who's this guy?" And what did he do?
That's cool. Did they just make the production director just make the puppet themselves, or how did they do that?
I think we rented it from somebody who made it.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. It's it's like a darker show than I typically see, but it's just something different, and so it's fun that they paid homage to it. And if it's sort of random, but there was a movie last year called I Want You Back. It was a little rom-com that was actually like pretty fun, and in that movie they have Jenny Slate ends up doing these like volunteer work for this middle school that they're putting on Little Shop of Horrors. And she ends up singing somewhere that's green.
Oh, wow.
And does this whole, and it was so good.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah. Like it's a cute rom-com period, but I'm just like, I don't know why they needed this random like full song sequence, but I was like, thank you. It's just so good.
I'm consistently telling my dentist to play the dentist song in his office during Halloween. I'm always telling him that it needs to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. So that was cute, and I liked the two of them. And then you have Melissa calling Kraft, and then she gets abducted, and then Josh gets taken by a sergeant, and that's when you have the narrator come out. There's always a twist,
Right.
and we find out that Kraft is going to be forcing Melissa to marry him, even though she's already married. So that's kind of the cliffhanger for the finale. And so then the second episode is called Over and Done. And this is, will there be a happy ending? Josh and Melissa are presented with a life-changing choice. And it starts out with Ariana DeBose singing Over and Done. And this is the one that I could see taking the best song from Maybe It's My Turn Now, but I would still personally pick Maybe It's My Turn Now.
Right.
But it was pretty great.
Yeah, it was a great song too. I feel more invested in Cecily Strong's character. Not
Same.
that Ariana DeBose is not fantastic. I just feel like we're not invested in that character this season. So.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess this was based on, and I'm telling you, I'm not going, from Dreamgirls.
Absolutely.
And I didn't even think about Dreamgirls for some reason when this season was like announced and everything. It, like, I don't know, just maybe because I've never seen it except for the movie.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I see that where it was coming from, but I hadn't thought of it until this song. So yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was very, very well done. But,
Oh, it was so good.
I hadn't thought about. My husband actually pointed out, because he was like, "Oh, we haven't seen her for a while." So yeah, like we weren't as invested in that character in particular as we are in some of the other characters this season.
Yeah, and I think from what you were saying earlier, like we know Ariana DeBose can sing amazingly. She's won an Oscar. She's won a Tony. We know she's amazing. We don't know as much, so it's like it feels like more impactful when Cecily Strong sings her song. Yeah, it's my turn now. And but this was really good. What do you think, Adam, about this introduction, this song?
Well, I mean, when the song started, when she was singing the song, I was blown away, just like I was with Cecily's song. It was amazing, and like Marion said, I was like, wait, is this a new character they're introducing? Who is this? And I had to remember back that Ariana had been in had sort of appeared here and there in the season, and then the kind of the fun twist right at the end where it feels like they're setting themselves up for a third season with her. Felt fun to me, and sort of wrapped it back up to, that's where I felt like, okay, this is why we started with her, is because we're sort of ending with her.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I was glad to see that, because I was a little worried that this would be the end, because it just seems like such an expensive show, and like, are they gonna be able to renew it? But it seems like they will, so yay.
Well, they still have a couple more decades of musicals to cover.
Yes,
so. Exactly.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Well, and they were saying on the Broadway thing that when the chandelier falls at the end, that was like a wink to Phantom. I mean, that would be way into isn't that like 80, 88, 80?
Yeah, 88, I believe, is when the Tony for Phantom was. So it may have opened in 87, but
okay, yeah.
But yeah. So and it was very much a clear link to Phantom, but I think that it was also maybe something like they're starting to tie it to what next season might look like.
Yeah, because they're gonna have some really fun stuff with. Oh gosh, you've got your obviously Les Mis. It's gonna. That is going to be a big one for kind of that early late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, and then you've got all the big things like Into the Woods, and then the Andrew Lloyd Webbers, the like the Sunset Boulevard and the Phantom, all of those. It could be really cool, the 80s and late 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, and it really felt like it was almost a handoff from Josh and Melissa to the Titus Burns character. You know, that okay, now it's your turn to sort of find your love and your happy ending or whatever. And so it may be that's the direction they're going in season 3, is we may be done. Titus, you know, Josh and Melissa have found their sense and they made the choice. And so now they move on to.
But I would feel sad not having them in it. I hope they at least have a cameo or something.
Right. Yeah. I would love that too with the cameo, but I also felt like it was a handoff. I really felt like it was like, okay, time for a new story.
Yeah, I looked at it a little bit like the Narnia stories, you know, where you sort of see the Pevensey kids appear here and there, or you find the ties back or whatever, but then it focuses on others that are, you know, either their ancestors or their progenitors, and how it ties in. And so you still get the story and you still get the tie into some of the main characters. But I think that we'll see, you know, I mean, we've already seen the, you know, Krat killed off, and so we, you know, it'll be fun to see where they go with some of this from here.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have a harder time they'll have an easier time in the 90s, but if they're going even further, if there was going to be like a 4th or 5th season, I think they would be very difficult, because like so many of the musicals are based on movies. So you would have a harder time, I think, with, I mean, they're just paying homage, but I don't know, I just think it would get trickier. But it's gonna be fun. But we have Bobby back, who I just loved this season. She was so funny. And she's making her sign a prenup, divorce agreement, and marriage.
Right.
And he says it's attorney-client privilege. If someone gave me money, whatever they do or have done doesn't matter.
You know, her character was so perfectly lawyer. It was just fantastic. Like, wow. Yeah.
Well, and she tells Kraft that the law exists to protect you and only you.
Right.
And then Melissa says, "Don't you dare sing to me. My heart belongs to Josh and only Josh." And so then they tell Kraft tells them that you need to kill Josh, and that'll make it easier for my new bride to move on.
Because, you know, death, whatever. Suddenly she's fine.
Yeah. And what I liked about these 2 episodes is they were like genuinely funny. They weren't as much, some of the earlier episodes of the season were a lot like remind you of funny. But these were just like, the dialogue was funny, I thought, in these episodes. And then we get a kiss between Blight and Colwell, and they sing that I guess it's an homage to God that was, when he says God that was good. I guess that's from Sweeney Todd.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's the parable of the faithful servant that they sing. It says Topher J. So nice to be the student instead of the teacher. they have much more to learn about lovemaking. They were funny. I thought that Aaron Tveit really brought it this season.
Yeah,
he was,
that
as
character.
Topher. He was funny. Yeah. Sometimes you need to turn the other cheek and let them strike you again. And then they have the parable of the dog who's surprisingly good at basketball. Because he's like trying to bring out these movies. So that was his Air Bud reference.
Right,
the parable
his little Air Bud reference. I loved that he was trying to just teach from different movies.
Yeah.
Like he was teaching from the Goonies as well.
Oh yeah. It's so crazy how many Air Bud movies there are. It's not just the one movie. There's like Air Bud playing football and like volleyball.
Right.
which is funny. Love is stronger than any gun. And they are, and then Jenny finds out she's Blight's daughter. Kraft killed Jenny's mother. Oh, my Jenny, my Jenny. And so then you have Sergeant and the Frau standing up to Kraft. And so all of that was I think enjoyable. Kraft was a pretty, I think, despicable, fun villain.
Right. Yeah. And very much like the villain in Sweeney Todd.
The judge.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And so then Blight drops the cleaver, and that's when the chandelier falls. It's very, very fun. He's kaput. Kraft. And I guess the Sergeant Riviera number was similar to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I've seen clips of. I've never seen the whole, like I've seen like in Perks of Being a Wallflower, they have a whole section, and just a few other times. I've never actually watched it.
So they're going to be doing, I've never seen it live, and they're going to be doing it at Pioneer next year, which will be really interesting.
Yeah, that will be.
To see. And so I'm kind of excited to see it.
Yeah, they have a pretty good lineup coming up.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Pioneer.
I'm very excited for their lineup. But yeah, just to see Rocky Horror done on stage, that'll be a very interesting thing to see. But
yeah, so then we get this ending with Stay Here in Chicago and then A Happy Beginning. And that had references to Being Alive from Company and the finale in Pippin. But I thought it was a really nice, sweet ending. Like you were saying, Adam, like the kind of passing off to the next era. And they give a partner for Sergeant. The narrator ends up being with Sergeant Riviera. And he's like, okay. And the Shamrock returns. He says, I had to test you. And that's when he sings A Happy Beginning, and they sing it and they go back to New York and they're happy.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
If we don't see them again, we did leave them in a happy spot. So I think that's fun.
It was fun to see Martin Short harmonize with himself.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yes. And did they say the name of I forgot to write down the name of the other Shamrock?
It was both just Martin Short.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
They did give him a name.
Right.
Like, this is my brother Willie or something, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was cute. And then they sing it going all the way back to New York. So they got everybody. They got Blight and Colwell to stop their thirst for revenge. They got rid of Kraft, and they got Jenny and Topher together. They basically killed the bad guy, and so they're able to have a happy beginning.
The one little fun flash that happened in sort of that ending montage that I liked back in that when Josh and Melissa are back in the city is they flash back to what seemed to be sort of the impetus for all this was the monotony of them in the hospital and their jobs. but in the one scene, it's Melissa on the table getting the ultrasound, not her giving the ultrasound.
Right.
And so that was fun. That sort of went along with the happy beginning as well, where it's like, okay, not only is this a happy ending for them in terms of they've helped all this, but now there's this happy beginning that it sort of frustrated them and eluded them for, since they left Schmigadoon.
Yeah, that was very sweet.
And the way it was actually watching this really, and the way they did this happy beginning song kind of helped me understand why I really like this era of musicals more than the first era, because I get a little cynical, and maybe it's just my years as being a mental health therapist. I get cynical with happy endings because most of us just don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea of the song Happy Beginning really touched me, because that's a lot of what I do with even my patients. Is I work with them to understand that, yeah, we can't change the past, and a lot of times we can't work with the fact that the future is not going to always be good, but what we can do is work with now and deal with, okay, we can try and do a different path and try and work with what we're given and try and just find happiness in the moment, even though life is challenging. And I think that that's, like you were just saying, with like songs like Being Alive and other shows where the moral is not trying to find this elusive happy ending that isn't really, but instead just trying to work with what life actually gives us and find happiness in the moment. And so that's why I like these kind of shows, that they take the darkness and still try and find some kind of joy in the moment. And so yeah, like I was like, man, for a parody, they still got the point.
Yeah, and especially because that was sort of the whole point that at the right in that final scene was, you can choose to stay here and make a difference, or continue on your work, or you can go out there where the world is uncertain and you don't know, and you're not a superstar, you're not famous, whatever, and sometimes we don't have that choice, but the fact that they made that choice was to say, look, we'll take what comes, and we've got each other, and we'll deal with it as it comes. And we've now sort of learned these coping mechanisms through these two journeys into these fictional places. Was a fun, a very heartwarming and eye-opening, I think, experience for me.
Yeah, and I think the thing I take away most from this show is just that this season has really encouraged me to push out of my comfort zone. And I think a lot of that's what the gift of these shows are, is that they push you to try something new, and you think of Josh and Melissa were really pushed out of their comfort zone too, try new things, experiment with new things, whether it's the hippie side or the darker side, like kind of both sides. And I mean, I went to see Cabaret. I watched the movie. I watched the filming of Pippin. I went to see Godspell. These things that were like just a little out of my comfort zone and a lot of fun. And I think that that's a great thing about this show, because I mean, this season is because I do think even with all of these shows, people do kind of lump Broadway and show tunes in that era of Music Man and Sound of Music and things like that, which I love and adore. But there's more variety than the genre is given credit for, I think. Yep, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I think it's been a fun experience, even just on that level. And they managed to surprise. They've gotten so much talent. I just can't believe the amazing singing, and the writing has been really funny this season, and the production design has been just outstanding. Like everything has just looked so good. All the costumes, the attention to detail, I think, has been outstanding. Yeah, the attention to detail was just really, really above and beyond.
I was so impressed with all kinds of little things. There were little tiny references here and there, and
Mhm.
I can't like name them all off the top of my head, but so many little things that I caught while watching that I was just like, oh my goodness, I love that they did this and that.
Mhm.
So enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, very good. I thank both of you for doing this, and joining me to recap these, and hopefully we'll be able to come back for season 3. I think it looks pretty good. Pretty
Yeah, I
likely.
hope so too. It's been so much fun. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has
Yeah.
been a blast.
So Marion, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and your content and everything? that you do?
Okay, yeah. So I am on Instagram, Marin Swenson, Facebook, Marin Swenson. On TikTok, I'm under Doc Broadway. I'm at Utah Theater Bloggers. I'm the vice president there. And I just opened a new clinic. I work for the counseling center in Utah and Layton. And so as a therapist, we just are opening our new clinic tomorrow.
That's so cool. That's great. What about you, Adam? Where are you at?
Most places I'm at AQ Canon or AQ Canon 35. I'm not on TikTok, although I do go out there and watch videos sometimes with my kids, but I just haven't gotten into it yet. But it's a lot of fun. And then I just, I pop up here and there around the Salt Lake Wasatch Front, doing various shows in various roles. Sometimes I'm on stage, but most of the time I'm backstage or behind the scenes, either directing or stage managing or something.
Do you have a favorite show that you've directed?
Oh my goodness. Well,
I know.
Yes. My favorite show that I've directed has got to be Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, I love that show. Where did you direct that at?
I directed that. We performed at the Lehigh Arts Center, but it was with the Utah rep.
Okay, yeah, I saw that.
It was the Utah premiere of that show, and the music in that is just amazing. And
yeah, I actually reviewed that. I was the one who reviewed that show.
And so it's a fantastic show. I still reference. It's one of the few shows that I can go back to the soundtrack after directing it, and I'm not sick of it. Sometimes after directing a show, you've listened to the soundtrack so many times or listened to your actor sing it that you just are like, okay, I don't want to hear this anymore, at least for a while.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
It's one that I can go back to over and over again, and the messages in it are pretty slick, and it's one that I would do it again in a heartbeat if someone gave me a chance.
Yeah, and it's so rarely done. I really enjoyed seeing that when you guys did it.
That's so cool. I've never seen that. I'd like to. They did a pro shot, I think, of it in London.
Yeah,
that they're gonna have on Netflix or something like that, which I'm excited for. But anyway, you can find me at Rachel's Reviews and Rachel's Reviews Theater.com, where I've started doing logs. I'm not calling them reviews because I don't want to have all the requirements. I just want to give my thoughts. So they're just my reactions basically to the shows I'm seeing on there. And I've got 3 up so far. So check that out. I'll have a link in the description, and you can find me Rachel's Reviews all over the internet. And then you can also find me at Hallmarkies Podcast. Lots of good stuff going on there. We have Theater Tuesdays here on Rachel's Reviews. And that's a lot of fun. We got some really good stuff coming up for that. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have Patreon group and merch store, so check that out. And thanks so much to both of you. And we'll talk to you all later. Bye.